mean, that was Arnold's big secret. I mean, Arnold, you know, he had his concentration down so fast, he could be telling everybody in the gym a joke, but when he got onto his set, nothing else existed. He was there. So I advise you to get that kind of mindset, and you'll reap those kinds of results. All right, let's hit it again. Final sequence here. So almost down to the knee, almost touches, and then right back up. And you see as I start to fatigue, I start to get a little wobbly. Slow it down a little bit. Back up. All right. A couple more. Last one. All right, good. It's a good set, so I'm going to pop the weights back. As soon as you're done, always rack the weights. Make the gym a nice place to work. You know? Don't leave weights piled up all over the place everywhere. Again. Don't be afraid to get some deep breaths. Get that metabolism fired up. Open up those lungs. Right? At first, it may even hurt a little bit in your lungs on the lower side. So some of those sacs that's never been opened up, the areolas. You know, you want those expanding. So get the toxins out of you. Breathing. You know, thousands of years, the yogis in India have been using breathing techniques, and they have amazing capacity for training. Look at these Sherpa guides. You know, climbing Mount Everest, they're carrying the gear for the mountain climbers. They don't even have oxygen tanks. Because they know how to breathe. Something a lot of us have forgotten. The amazing power of breath. Paul Bragg, one of the legends that taught it to North America at the turn of the century. Woo! I'm feeling that one. I'm just going to give a little stretch because, oh, the calf's really tightening up there. So to stretch out like that.
You know, I found that by banging it with my fist, that also releases a lot of.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, it actually gets a lot of recovery agents in there.
Totally. You know, even self-massage after just
shaking it,
the muscle after.
Shaking it.
Yep. Just get the tightness out of it as soon as it's pumped, and then stretch it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's like the techniques of Rolfing.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's where you're busting up any adhesions. I had a calf injury once. I tore my calf while training for the Mr. Universe in 2003, and I had to get some Rolfing techniques because I couldn't walk. You know, and 2 days later, I was back walking. I continued on my training, and a week and a half later, because of massage, advanced recovery techniques, I was back training on it again. And that was a big time tear. So stretch them out. I just got like this.
You know, one thing I'd like to mention about the way you've structured the workout is that, you know, you did the front squats, which have a very high level of neuromuscular activation. Then you went to do the hamstrings on the machine, which gave you some recovery time as far as your total body goes. And you're doing the same thing here. You're doing lunges, which is exhausting your whole body, and then coming here and isolating the calves, which is kind of giving your whole body a rest, but still taxing the muscles.
Exactly. So I like to call it active recovery. Mm-hmm. In other words, for example, when I'm doing hamstrings, every time I contract, I'm moving the fluid in the body outside of the legs and getting that swelling down and then back in it so I can hit another one. Mm-hmm. Right? So it's a format that I picked up over the years that not a lot of guys are doing, you know, about sequencing and moving quickly through the workouts. There's a lot of myths out there in saying that you can't work out fast and heavy. Sure you can. You just got to train yourself for it. So let's get ready to do the next exercise sequence. We're going to get into something a lot more fun, and that's training the guns. So let's get at it. Let's get to freaky big mastery and hit the big time guns. So let me take a second to talk about some of the changes that we have within the mastery program in regards to your workouts. As you go through the routine, you'll notice that there's specific changes in exercise selection, sequencing of exercises, rep ranges, and total volume amounts that are going in a unique pattern in order to advocate recovery and super growth compensation. And how we do that is a very specific format. As the workouts build up and as the volume goes up, the rep changes accordingly so that you get the most amount of muscle fibers activated in your workouts without actually overtraining. Okay, we trashed the legs and now we're going into the arm sequence, and I like pumping back and forth between bis and tris. So today we're going to start the workout with tris and then go right into bis. So let's get at it. Flying triceps. Get down on the bench. This is one that you may want some help with. I always drop my head right over the edge. Flex.
As you can see, the bench is contouring to Wade's neck so that his neck is safe. He's not dropping his neck right off the bench. A lot of variations on this exercise. Wade's going right to his eyebrows. It's called these eyebrow busters.
Yeah, each person will have a little bit different movement. Now I have fairly long arms relative to my bone structure. So for me, I get my head right over and I bring them right down and then straight in. So that's the one that's worked for me. You might have to do a little bit more of an arc. Play with it until you feel it. All right, and then right back into curls. Make sure you squeeze at the top. Squeeze. Squeeze.
Notice the big stretch. See, Wade's letting his arm get 100% straight. And
Sorry,
then
flex
starting
the
to curl.
triceps at the bottom. So it keeps it tight tension on the biceps. Don't just half-heartedly drop the weights. Pull them up. And get the flex at the top. Don't just finish here. Flex. Flex. Good. And then back down. Okay, now we're going to bump the weight up on the next set. That one was pretty light.
So why don't you talk a little bit about how your arms really blew up on this training strategy, because your arms weren't your biggest strength, and now they're as strong as anything else on your body.
Yeah, it was one of the things I had trouble building arms, especially triceps. And what it really boiled down to was volume, and lower reps. I traditionally trained higher reps, medium to moderate range. And what I did is I lowered the rep range, got involved in a lot of heavy basic movements, okay, and lots of volume and frequency. All this stuff about not training, not frequency stuff, it all started when everyone's thinking you got to train to failure, absolute muscular failure. Now there is a place for that in certain aspects of training, maybe with strip setting and stuff when you're trying to overload the nervous system to increase fiber contraction or increase the amount of muscle fibers you're recruiting. But after a certain point, you're just beating yourself up. And for natural guys like us that are training, we're not using any chemicals or anything, we don't have the recovery powers to do that. So what I do is I hit lots of volume, frequency. So when I bumped up the volume on this training, started hitting my arms 2-3 times a week, they just exploded. I think the other factor too was pumping in a lot of mass arms. With protein, breakthrough protein, that made a big difference in my recovery. I can hit my arms for, up to 100 sets a week, and I can still recover.